Are we rolling? Yes, we are. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here. Today, I'm going to be doing my review of the 2014 documentary film Jodorowski's Dune. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce his name. So this movie is a documentary that is about a movie that was never made. Um, that was well, it technically did eventually get made, but a different version of it got made. Like when I say didn't get made, this film never got made. I'm talking about the specific version of the film never got made. Um, and that film was Jodorowsky's version of Dune, which was supposed to come out in like the 1970s. So, the director of Jodorowsky's Dune was obviously Alejandro Jodorowsky. But he didn't get to finish his film because of like budget issues and some other things. But I'm pretty sure that budget issues were like the the biggest reason. So Dune, well, the movie was eventually adapted into um a movie, but it was like a different version of it and had like a different director and stuff, and it was made by different people. And of course, the the movie I'm talking about that it got adapted into was the 1984 version of Dune. Now, this movie was you know, it was critically mixed, like critically negatively mixed, and the it got like mixed audience reviews too, like positively mixed, but mixed, still mixed, and it was a flop. It didn't make as much money as it cost. It didn't make as much money in theaters as the film actually cost to make. Made less than its budget. Um, this movie was directed by David Lynch, who was a very good director at the time. He directed Eraserhead and stuff. You know, he was a very well loved director. But apparently the reason why this movie was such a flop was because not just a flop, mixed slash hated. You know what I'm saying? Like borderline hated, but just mixed. Was because David Ayer didn't have like all the the creative power he wanted to have. The studio and the producers. I think yeah, like kind of intermixed with his ideas and forced him to do it one way. Yeah, that's like a very common. That's a very common excuse for making a bad movie. Like everybody's just like I didn't get enough creative freedom. Yeah, I hear that a lot, and a lot of times it's true. But I'm sure that there are a few instances where it's not true. But I'm sure for this instance, it is true. Anyway, so by the way, Dune was based on a novel by Frank Herbert, well, '60s novel by Frank Herbert, that had a whole bunch of sequels. Anyway, so if you don't already know, um, there's a remake of Dune coming out this year, actually, this December. and it's supposed to be directed by one of my favorite directors. I love his films, and that director is, well, he's not my favorite director, but he's one of my favorite directors, and that director is Denis Villeneuve. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I think it's Villeneuve. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I honestly, can't wait to see that. Anyway, so this movie was actually supposed to have a Pink Floyd soundtrack. If you don't know who Pink Floyd is, they're one of the most influential rock bands of all time, and most like popular rock bands of all time. They blew up in the '70s, and then only went on from there. They broke up. Well, the band split in 2011, but the individual members are still making music. Yeah. By the way, if you don't, fun fact: Pink Floyd happens to be my favorite band of all time. Uh, yeah, and also just my favorite overall music artist slash music artist group of music artists of all time. I love their music. Um, from what I can tell from the Dune 2020 trailer that we got a couple weeks ago, you know, there won't be actual Pink Floyd music in there, but there will be covers of Pink Floyd songs in there by other people. So I guess that's kind of fulfilling the original promise if you think about it. Anyway, this movie had so the original Jodorowski's Dune had you know was very influential, even though it wasn't made, so the artwork and the ideas influenced other films like Star Wars and other sci-fi films like Blade Runner. Star Wars and Blade Runner, I love those. Like The Matrix, I love The Matrix too, and it influenced a whole bunch of other films, sci-fi films, even though it was never made. And there was actually a lot of artwork for this film. And you know, you could say it was technically never used, but I guess it was like technically used as an inspiration for other movies. Other movies used this artwork. Anyway, so this was a great documentary. It was well edited. It was most of it is in English, but a bit of it is in French and Spanish. Um, you don't really have to have subtitles. I couldn't get the subtitles to work at all. And I'm sure in the theater there weren't subtitles. This isn't like a film that's completely in a different language. It's mostly English. Um, but you know, there is a bit of foreign, foreign language parts of the movie where they speak in Spanish or French, rarely ever French, but some Spanish. I've taken 3 Spanish courses in my life, and oh, they were high school Spanish courses, by the way. And I do Duolingo, so well, Duolingo regularly, sorry, regularly. Finally, I don't know what was going on with my tongue. So I understood the Spanish pretty good enough, well enough. Like I understood the Spanish well enough. Like I could make it out. The French, like the French, the French parts were like a little harder to understand. Well, a lot harder to understand. But I still got the gist of what they were saying. Anyway, this is a great documentary movie, like I said. By the way, this isn't. I'm not reviewing the actual Jodorowski's Lost Dune movie from the 70s. This is the documentary about that movie, just to be clear. You know, the actual Jodorowski's Dune was never made. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. Anyway, this was a great documentary. It was just really, really interesting. The pacing's awesome. It's not perfect though. Like a lot of the stuff in here is great, but not like 100% great. Like the editing is great, but not like masterpiece great. Anyway, I'm gonna give this film a 90% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A minus. It's a great documentary. I would definitely recommend it. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.